Hey, this is Digital Dave with another cryptocurrency and blockchain update. Today, I have with me for a second time, Wes Levitt with Theta Labs. Wes, how's it going?
Hey Dave, doing great. Good to chat with you again.
Good to chat with you as well. The last time that we had this call was middle of October, and a lot has happened since that time. I mean, golly, how do you guys keep up with all the stuff you're doing? So many things, and you've got so many surprises that you're pulling out of the hat, and you guys are just going, you just trailblazing. I mean, you've got have done a lot since the last time we've chatted for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of the nature of working at a startup in general, I think, but especially in the blockchain space where space as a whole moves fast, so we have to as well. And week to week, we just stay focused on what our current goals are. And I guess it's only when you look back over the course of a year that you see just how much things have changed, how priorities change, and so on. But we just stay focused on the products we're building at the time and what direction we're trying to go in, and just try to keep one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, well, you're doing a great job. And let me say this too, Wes, before I forget to say it. And I've seen some other people comment about this too, and some other YouTubers. You guys are doing one heck of a job. I mean, you guys are really, really just working your tails off, it seems like. And I just want to say thank you to you and the whole Theta team for just keeping everybody informed, doing your live AMAs, doing your updates and your Medium updates and your new white papers. I mean, I really appreciate what you guys are doing. It's just fantastic. A lot of these projects are kind of in the dark. They're pretty opaque. You guys are not.
Yeah, I mean that's part of our job, I think, by being in the blockchain space. Startups are like Data Labs are private, and a lot of times that means essentially no information comes out because no reason really to disclose it or not. But it's a bit of a unique animal. Both being in the sector and the fact that we have a public blockchain with tokens owned by our community, that there needs to be a lot more information about what's going on so that the community can accurately decide how they want to run a node, or how does this vary from different projects. So it comes with the job, I think, to have to do that.
Yeah, well, great. Well, good job on that. So I've got a lot of questions for you, and most of it's going to revolve around the TDrop and the TDrop white paper that took a lot of people by surprise. And I have some other questions for you too, just about overall development and et cetera, et cetera. And I know you probably won't be able to answer all of them, but just kind of hopefully, I'm sure you'll enlighten us the best way you can. But let's start with TDrop. What the heck is TDrop?
Yeah, I not surprised that caught some people off guard, because we never had said anything about it before.
Yeah.
But it's our idea we've been kicking around for a while, after we've seen similar models be very successful in other blockchain protocols. And the basis is basically the ThedaDrop marketplace launched. It's been growing very quickly in number of sales and different creators coming on board, much like yourself, from big brands like WPT and Katy Perry coming later this year with their Las Vegas residency. So it's getting some great momentum already, but what we saw with other protocols, whether it's DeFi or just more broadly in crypto, is having a specific asset that can be used to get the flywheel going, especially in a secondary marketplace, to have a mechanism in place to encourage those volumes, works very well. And we've seen that over and over again. It's not so much theoretical anymore. You can look at some of the like DEX protocols, for example, where you have a token that's in place to basically, it's like priming the pump with liquidity to get it off the ground, because the nature of these markets, they work better when they have liquidity, but you can't get liquidity out of nowhere. It has to sort of be reach an inflection point or where it gets enough. And so that's the purpose of the TDrop token, is to incentivize getting the marketplace liquid enough and enough transaction volumes that in and of itself makes it a more useful marketplace, because you have the liquidity enough to have good pricing and to attract more creators and so on.
So is the primary purpose of TDrop is to provide liquidity for Tfuel? Or, I mean, is that really the main reason that it's there, or is there other uses for it?
not liquidity for Tfuel explicitly, although that is it does benefit the other tokens on Theta blockchain as well, which we can get into. But specifically, it's supposed to incentivize transaction volume on the TDrop marketplace, so that it becomes a more useful marketplace to all the parties involved. You know, there's no use to an exchange that doesn't have enough volumes that it's not, you can't get good pricing onto exchange. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of crypto exchanges. 95% of them have meaningless volumes. You know, the actual volume that's not being faked is nothing to speak of.
Okay, right. Yeah.
But same concept. You can have a very well-designed NFT marketplace, but if no one's trading on it and you can't get a good price discovery, and there's terrible price spreads between the bids and the asks, it's not a very good marketplace. This is designed to help boost it along to have higher liquidity. But of course, because every transaction burns Tfuel on TDrop, and because this all still operates on Theta blockchain, there are indirect benefits to the native tokens of Theta blockchain as well.
Okay. So it's to provide liquidity for TDrop and to provide liquidity for Tfuel. So it's multi-purpose, obviously. So you guys are looking to make TDrop a really, I mean, a real NFT marketplace, and this is some kind of side hustle. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. You have to pick your lane, whether is it going to be NFTs just for sort of for fun and don't have any value, it's just a collectible thing, or is it going to be an object that actually has value? And if it does, then it needs to have a real marketplace in place. And since we are just we don't want Theta NFTs to just be sort of a novelty that doesn't have any value, unlike ones built on, say, Ethereum, then it's a necessary step to have a fully functioning marketplace.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I read in the white paper that that TDrop has done $2 million in volume with NFTs since its launch. Is that a pretty accurate number?
Yeah, that's probably a little out of date, so I'm sure higher now. But it's been pretty significant already. Certainly for World Poker Tour, that's been wildly beyond their expectations, and without getting into revealing too much about their own finances, let's say it's become much more important to them than when it launched, because they were shocked at how much revenue is actually generated from NFTs even back to them. So that was a really important proof point to us as well, that TDrop could deliver a lot of value to the partners as well. And of course, something that we are looking to replicate with many other partners we're talking to.
Yeah, because I know you've got Katy Perry, like you said, you got Katy Perry coming Q4 of this year. I mean, that's going to be a really big deal, and I don't need to tell you that, but some of the listeners probably need to realize how big Katy Perry is. And I know everybody in the world's heard of Katy Perry, but the fact that she's going to be selling her NFTs and she's going to have millions of fans going to ThedaDrop.com to buy, trade, sell, whatever her NFTs, whatever they want to do. There's going to be a lot of traffic there. And now, so when I had, I did a video a couple of videos ago, did a little testimonial about my experience with ThedaDrop and just working with your team, which was great. ThedaDrop did, and I told people before the launch of the Crazy for Cryptos NFTs that the site is in beta. And I just, said, it's in beta, so it's, there's still going to be some kinks, to work out. And I had a couple of little snags, and but I'm sure by the time Katy Perry comes up, it's going to be pretty much seamless. There's no way you can predict the future about what's going to happen. Anything can pop up, but I would imagine it's going to be pretty on par to be a flawless experience.
Yeah, and that's part of wanting to release in beta and work out the kinks in a real environment, because test environments are great. You obviously want to test privately as well, but it's never the same thing as actually having real conditions with thousands of users around the world. So it's almost a necessary step when you have these networks that have thousands of participants. You have to test it a few times, and even if it's a little early in beta form, because you can imagine it'd be a lot more difficult situation if we decide to work with Katy Perry. It's a major deal with her and her representatives, and then we don't release anything. ThedaDrop is not even public. And then in December, for the first time, we try it with her. That's not good. First of all the kinks you worked out are now happening with this major event with millions of eyeballs on you.
Right.
But on top of that, it's the scale of what's expected goes up and up. And when you're dealing with an artist like her, her team is very, very detail oriented about exactly how things need to be about her brand and how things are going to run smoothly and all this. It's prime time, and so you don't want to make your rookie mistakes in that environment.
Right. Okay, so there's a couple of questions that popped up, but first I want to ask about TDrop. Okay, so once people get TDrop tokens, and so people that are staking Theta starting now, beginning of August until February 1st, they're going to get their airdrop of TDrops. Once they get a TDrop, what is its utility?
Yeah, there's two main utilities to TDrop. The first is it gives you the right to vote on governance proposals for ThedaDrop, which will be implemented right out of the gate and are very important to ThedaDrop marketplace. For example, the first votes will be on how much can be earned for creators versus the TDrop stakers, and how those percentages will set will be by vote via the TDrop holders. But also very important because this is also the test bed for Theta governance overall. So, eventually we get to a point where even the underlying terms of the Theta blockchain itself, how does staking work? How is what percentage is earned, or the inflation rate of a Tfuel token will be done by community vote. And how TDrop governance works is basically, you could think of it as the beta for the overall blockchain, because while the stakes are much lower than if there's a vote on changing code on the underlying blockchain and there's a major fault and the chain halts, much higher stakes. So that's one reason it's very important with TDrop, not only because you can decide how the TDrop will evolve as a marketplace, but it's also eventually how Theta blockchain is going to be determined. And the second thing is, by staking TDrop, there'll be benefits to transacting on the platform as well. So if you're a major user of ThedaDrop marketplace, and you do a lot of exchanging of NFTs, then maybe it's a discount on the fees or access to drops that are early because you're a ThedaDrop holder, and so on. So it's, you can think of it two ways. You have an input on how ThedaDrop operates, and then also sort of VIP benefits.
Okay, VIP. So like you said, maybe some exclusive NFT opportunities, maybe. Will there be like NFT airdrops by chance for people that are staking TDrop?
There potentially could be.
There potentially could be. Okay.
We haven't worked out anything specific on that, but because it's all on chain, certainly in a technical sense, you could drop to any holder of TDrop that is on chain. Yeah.
Okay. And so February 1st is going to be when the TDrop is going to be live, the TNT-20 token, the TDrop. So, I mean, that's exciting, but I want to also ask too, I mean, I already know the answer, but I just want a lot of people may not, when TDrop can be traded on an exchange eventually. Is that correct? It will be able to be traded. People, if they want to sell it, to trade it, whatever.
Yeah, well, since it's a TNT-20 token, while it is being built by Theta Labs, it's I think a better way to think of it is it's a TNT-20 token is for the ThedaDrop DApp, in the same way that as more DApps are built on Theta, there could be a TNT-20 token for those as well, not even issued by Theta Labs, but issued by anyone. So, analogous to if someone makes a new DeFi protocol on Ethereum, they're not asking Vitalik to launch an ERC20 token. It's just the tools are available to do so. That said, because it is a TNT-20 token, any exchange that already lists Theta has the ability to add ThedaDrop, whether they talk to us about it or not, just in the same way that, it's all open source. We don't even have relationships and have never even spoken to many of the exchanges that list Theta already.
Okay.
So anyone can list it. Of course, Theta Swap, anyone can build a liquidity pool for it. Yeah, it's not really up to us. It's the tools are out there for anyone that wants to integrate Theta blockchain and do that.
Yeah. So people are a couple people asked about the Theta decentralized exchange. How's that coming along?
Yeah, so Theta Swap is has been up and running for a while now, and you can make your own liquidity pool. You can trade against it. One thing we have noticed, what we think they're one of the reasons why the liquidity pools many haven't sprung up or they haven't been exchanged a lot. Part of it is just that more developer tools are needed so that when someone makes a DApp on Theta and releases a token for it, it has more meaningful value because they have a successful DApp on Theta. So that's part of the focus of, you may have also read in the white paper about new development tools that we're putting out, some of which we're going to post some more about this week. And the second part of it, we think, is potentially because the lack of a stable coin on Theta blockchain as well could be one factor that it's less of it's not as good of a user experience to trade against Tfuel, since most people don't think of it as a base currency asset. They think of it more as a asset you trade for to begin with. So trading your TNT20 token against Tfuel, it's just more difficult with price movements and such. So that's something we're working on as well with some and speaking with other teams about. It's a possibility of one of the major stable coins being ported over as a TNT20 token. Especially since that's becoming more common, where you see the major stable coins existing on multiple chains.
Yeah, because now that you're going to have compatibility with Ethereum, I know that's not quite finished yet, but you're going to have the bridge for the Ether, the bridge for Theta network to Ether and back and forth. The bridges back and forth. So when will that be live? Do you have any timeline, or can you reveal anything on that?
Yeah, so there's a few different things that are kind of under that umbrella. The first is that with the tools that we're releasing with the RPC adapter for Ethereum, that and the tooling for Theta blockchain to use Truffle and Remix and Hard Hat and all these development tools. The first is that it's much easier to simply port an Ethereum smart contract over to Theta. That can already be done in its rawest form, has been for months. But that said, all these creature comforts, being able to use the common Ethereum developer tools, basically it makes them more, developers feel more at home at Theta, since it feels just like developing for Ethereum. So big piece of that is just that it's putting those tools out in the next few weeks, so that if there's a smart contract for a given stablecoin, for example, they can simply make the same contract on Theta and issue however many of that stable coin are justified. The second piece about a bridge is it's also enabled by this technology, but that's a little more complicated, because the cross-chain bridge that I think most people consider is when someone is in the middle, basically acting as a custodian, where if I have, let's say, a USDC token and I want to transfer it to Theta, one of the more common ways that happens is it's locked up verifiably on chain in a smart contract on Ethereum, and then created on Theta, and then you can't unlock the ones on Ethereum until the ones on Theta are destroyed. That's a common way that it's done, so that you preserve the supply, the maximum supply, and make sure you're not just printing tokens on, diluting it by printing onto the chain.
So no double spending of smart contracts.
Exactly. You can't say I locked it up here and I made $1 million over here, and then I unlock those without telling anyone. And what you've effectively done is printed tokens.
Right.
So that's that piece where you're actually not just creating new tokens on the new chain because it's easy to port a smart contract, but actually, in effect, moving the tokens from one chain to another. That's something that's more easily done because of these new tools we're putting out, but that's a little more complicated off-chain, because it still requires someone to either act as a custodian for those, the way a USDC works, an offline custodian, or it requires someone to develop the smart contracts to prove that they're being locked up here, created here. So that can be done as well, but that's an extra step that often would need to be negotiated between parties on both chains, because
Okay.
someone needs to be accountable to make sure that whether it's smart contract code or whether it's their word and of a qualified custodian, someone needs to be able to account for the fact that you're not just printing new tokens. You're making sure that the same tokens only exist in one place at one time, not on both chains at the same time.
Right. And you said that's a few weeks out before that'll be live. Is that the developer tools?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right. Good news. That's great. To kind of jump around a little bit, I know that you guys have not really done any true marketing. You've like a marketing blast. Do you have any? Can you reveal anything about your marketing plans?
Yeah, well, we're not planning on buying the rights to a stadium like FTX does anytime soon. Different business model, I guess, that they are trying to go direct to, worldwide consumers, which I don't think the way we're targeting entertainment platforms or smart contract developers. It seems like the shotgun approach to mass marketing or billboards or on the side of a bus doesn't seem like the best use of resources. So we're looking at more in a targeted sense, like we generally always have, where it's the next hackathon coming up very soon, where we're pushing more and more to show Ethereum developers how they can come over to Theta, or whether it's using industry contacts to show how we're working with CAA so that there's credibility when we go to other video platforms or other entertainment companies that we're in their space. We know their sector. We have people in their sector that we're working with and will vouch for Theta as a blockchain.
Right.
That's sort of our mindset more than, like I said, flying the blimp above the city and trying to get random people to go to ThetaToken.org. That's not the most effective way.
Wes, are you saying that in the future there's a chance that we could see Theta football stadium?
Anything is possible. It's a wild world out there.
Wild indeed. All right. Well, with Katy Perry coming on board with their NFTs, I mean, that's going to bring that's marketing right there. I mean, is that going to bring awareness to Theta?
I am hopeful that such a mainstream artist, and one that I think demographically is probably a huge amount of our fan base is not people who are already familiar with crypto and NFTs. A big video game influencer or streamer. You look at the demographics, a young male and technologically savvy, there's a decent chance they're already invested in crypto already and already have an idea of what's going on. I'm hopeful that we're showing NFTs and blockchain in general to a pretty different demographic than before. And Katy Perry's talking about NFTs to 100 million Twitter followers, or at her concerts in Las Vegas, telling me you can get exclusive NFTs for the show on ThedaDrop.com, that kind of thing. It is new. It is a new audience, but I think because it's coming through the channel of someone they're already a fan of, as opposed to just an ad which people kind of tune out, it could be more effective.
Okay. Well, if 0.1% of those people start to learn about Theta or invest in Theta, that's still a pretty big number, I think. So, who knows? Well, speaking of marketing, kind of, when Coinbase?
I haven't been able to answer that question for 4 years, so I'm not going to try and start now.
I know you can answer it. Somebody asked me to ask you that, and I already know what you're going to say. So I just had to say it.
Go ahead and check the Win Coinbase box out. Get that out of the way.
That's out of the way. It's gone. All right. Yeah, I know you can't talk about that. I know you can't talk about exchange listings or anything like that. And I know you can't talk about price. Let me talk about price real quick. I know you can't touch price at all, but let me just say something just as a timestamp. So when you and I, Wes, when we talked, first talk was in the middle of October. It was October 15th. 2020, Theta was 70 cents. And just as a timestamp, it's $70, not 70, I'm jumping ahead, it's $7, just over $7. We'll say $7 for clean math right now. So it's gone up 10x since you and I have talked, since last October. So this might be kind of fun. And I saw this right before I got on this call. Somebody suggested in my Patreon group, they said, you should do a call when Theta goes to $70. So that might be kind of fun, Wes. So when it goes up 10x each time, we should hop on a call. What do you think?
Always happy to chat with you, Dave.
there we go. Challenge accepted. All right. That's great. Wes, can you give us a timeline when we're about to withdraw Tfuel from TDrop?
Yeah, I believe that's coming this quarter. I'll follow up with you after because I don't want to speak out of turn since I don't work directly on a lot of the details of the TDrop initiatives. But that's my feeling is that this quarter is when that'll happen. It does come down to getting comfort with KYC procedures, which are never fun, but it's pretty serious business. We're a U.S. based company, no offshore hiding out where we're in some crazy country. So when the U.S. government starts talking about anti-money laundering and know your customer laws, they mean business. So
yeah,
we wish we could have a better user experience on day one when it comes to that stuff. We have to be very safe. I'm pretty hopeful about how that'll be implemented because I see how it's evolved on some of the other NFT platforms. And I think they're getting to a pretty good balance between complying with the laws and still having a good user experience. And so I think if that's the precedence that we should be able to do that as well, and should with some amount of KYC should be able to implement withdrawals in the near future.
Okay. Now you're obviously a US based company. Do you think if the political climate got really crazy and the regulations got crazy in the US, that would you guys consider uprooting out of the US?
I mean, it's not something we've thought about so far. I suppose you can construct a scenario where we would have to consider it if it's even just not sure when we'll air on this or if you're already live streaming it, but it's on the 6th here where the news came out that these competing amendments in the infrastructure bill that'll be targeting crypto, one that was put out by the blockchain or supported by the Blockchain Association lobbying group that's pretty mild,
right?
And really just does what they think is fair, and another that's very onerous, specifically toward proof of stake,
right.
Which is crazy in that it's hard to say how it would be interpreted by a court of law in the future, but in one possible interpretation, it makes proof of stake impossible because it requires them to report to the government everyone who's earning staking rewards.
Right.
Yet this is a permissionless, decentralized system. We don't know the names, addresses, and phone numbers of everyone who's staking because that's not how a public blockchain works. So, I'm still optimistic that they're not going to be so heavy-handed on that. But I don't know if the next development is the U.S. government says the only way you can run a proof of stake blockchain is by KYCing everyone who runs a node. It may be untenable to operate in the U.S.
Yeah, it would be impossible. That's why I kind of segued into that because I'm aware of that bill, and I'm optimistic as well. A lot of people are in fear about it. I'm optimistic that that it's not going to go through the way they want it to go through. But we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But worst case scenario, then you just have to do what Ripple's going to do, or I don't know. Did they move out of the U.S.? I can't remember, but
I think so. But I do know that it would be obviously a whole undertaking, and the majority of everyone effectively except for me and one or two other people are based in the US, so it's a big uprooting, but at the same time it's a little short-sighted for any government to try to ban legitimate blockchain companies from operating because there's a lot of countries that do want them to operate, and it's in such a global space and in a decentralized space as the blockchain sector is. It's pretty obvious what's going to happen. All the top tier blockchain companies from the U.S. will simply move to Singapore, Switzerland, any other country that says that's fine. We're happy to take your top talent.
Exactly. There's other countries that would be happy to take all these companies. So well, we'll hope for the best, Wes. So I am a professional optimist, and it's always worked out well for me. And I think that we're going to be okay. So a lot of people are worried about it, but I just want to touch on it real quick, and maybe we can maybe when Theta, if and when Theta goes to 70, we'll see how that was just nothing but FUD that we talked about on this day. So, hey, let me ask you, going back to TDrop. So you've got Theta, Tfuel, and TDrop. Do you guys have any plans for like a fourth token, fifth token?
No, and going back to how we see TDrop, it's more we're thinking of it in terms of TDrop is an application built on Theta blockchain that has its own token, as opposed to a third native token. Since it's not really TDrop isn't really core to the Theta blockchain at all. We think of it less as it's not a third token in the Theta ecosystem as much as the first major application token will be built on it. So rather than thinking, we see it more as the first of many applications that are going to be built on top of Theta blockchain that benefit from having their own token to create the right user incentives for their applications to grow. So the answer is no, we're not planning any. And if there's no other applications we're building, then there would be no reason for it in the first place. It's not so much we're looking to make a third token as much as this is an application that would benefit from using more.
Yeah. So, I mean, really, so TDrop is a TNT20. It's just the same thing as an ERC20 token on the Ethereum blockchain. I mean, that's same thing basically, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. All right. I'm going to jump back to some other random questions, if you don't mind, answer what you can. Somebody said, hey, would it be possible to put a playback adjustment on Theta TV, 1.25, 1.5, 1.75, et cetera?
I'm sure there would be. I don't know where it is in the priority list of development, but it's something we can tell the team it's something that's been asked for.
Okay. Yeah. Put it on the list. Now, this kind of leads me to, because I know you guys I don't know, how big is your team? Is it about 20 people on your team?
It's about 28 now, with a few more new blockchain developers that are coming on in the near future.
Okay,
so
great.
Probably be up about 30.
Yeah. Okay, about 30. So this leads me to someone had a concern about, because if you guys are planning for global adoption, they had a concern that your team might be too small. Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I don't think it is. If you think of it more in terms of, we're developing the core Theta software. We are not trying to build everything that lives on Theta blockchain ourselves and market it. And it's not, if we want Theta to have dozens or hundreds of applications built on top of it with many different use cases, entertainment and beyond, and we said we're going to do it all ourselves, and yes, 30 people would be far too small for it. But that's not. We're looking to build out the core blockchain and the tools around it, and think of it as first party applications that we think are useful and also show off what's possible on Theta blockchain. But for a public blockchain to reach that level, it needs to have other teams springing up to build applications on top of it. The Ethereum Foundation is not building every DeFi protocol. They're not building OpenSea. They're not building all this. They're independent teams that sprung up to build these things. And it is our job, to the extent that hasn't happened on Theta yet. That's on us, and that's our job to give the community and developers what they need so they're able to do that. But 30 people is, in our opinion, and probably still growing over time. But whether it's 30 or 50 or so on, 50 people by themselves cannot build out global adoption for a public blockchain, but they can create what's necessary for people around the world to build teams and build on top of that.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that makes sense. So just step by step, it's a way to do it. So your team has actually grown quite a bit. I mean, when we chatted last year, how big was your team then?
I think that was probably about 20. Yeah.
Okay. So about 50% growth since then.
Yeah, that's we're definitely expanding a lot quicker this year than we have in the past, and I expect that to continue. It's a long ways away, and perhaps never when we see where we'll be one of these projects around 2018 where they had 500 people listed on the website and they're basically doing it all themselves. And that's not the model we're looking to do.
I can name one project that's known to do that. I don't need to, but I think maybe I know what you're talking about. I don't know.
There was a few of them.
Okay, more than one. I got you. This is crypto, so okay. Let me ask you about. Can you comment on Binance dumping a lot of their Tfuels and Thetas?
Yeah, I've been seeing that a lot on message boards and the like, and with the caveat, I don't work at Binance, and they wouldn't tell me anything in detail about that, but I don't think that's correct. Several reasons. One, I don't think Binance is holding an enormous amount of tokens on their own book. In any case, they hold users tokens, but been seeing a lot of things that are implying that Binance is buying up and selling, almost like prop trading for their own account on their own markets. It's an opaque organization, so I guess anything is possible, but I've never seen anything that proves that other than just speculation.
Okay.
And then as far as the price manipulation, I mean, I've the evidence is posted has been pretty inconclusive for me. It's a lot of things that these theories could be correct, but it's just as easily explained by volatility in the crypto market because it happens with every asset across the entire sector. So even the ones that are not listed on Binance, you see these kind of behaviors. So
okay,
it's possible they're all manipulated. It's possible none of this is going on. It's really, I guess I would just say I think it's a little bit jumping to conclusions when I've never seen anything that proves that. And it seems like a lot of trying to explain away things that could have a lot of different reasons for happening. But I guess you'd have to ask someone at Binance to ever know concretely.
Think that answer that. Good luck with that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wes, I remember you and I don't know if it was during a call last year or if it was just a chat on Telegram or something, but you talked about the yields for Theta staking. Right now it's about 1%, and you said it should go up. Can you comment on that and what kind of yields we might see with Theta staking?
Yeah, it's entirely driven by market forces. So it's ultimately it's not really something we have an input on. Can expect it to based on just kind of theories of how finance works, but it's ultimately market driven and what the market sees value in.
Okay, so it's totally the market's deciding that rate of about 1%.
Yeah, it's between two market traded assets, so it fluctuates based on where those two assets are.
Oh, okay, you mean like price wise, or?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, let me hop back to. I know we're going all over the place, and thanks for bearing with me on that. So when you have the cross-chain compatibility with Ethereum, will we be able to trade our ThetaDrop NFTs on OpenSea and vice versa?
Yes, that is something we're working on right now, actually. And even even without a cross-chain bridge, there's other ways that can be done too. But until we officially have finalized the direction it's going, I won't speculate too much. But it's a priority for us.
Okay, good. And I think, I know the answer to this, but I want to just bring it up and you can tell everyone that, because I think you told me this before too, Wes, is that eventually we're about to put our Theta NFTs on our Theta mobile wallet or web wallet. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
That's in the works now, and both that and also TNT20 tokens.
Okay, so any TNT20.
Yes, that's right.
So with let's just say your Theta token mobile wallet, so eventually you'll have like a little slot in there or a tab for NFTs.
Yeah, that could be one way to do it. I think it would make more sense to organize those separately because the UI for displaying that versus your Theta, Tfuel, and TNT20 tokens numerically, it'd make more sense to have that and maybe perhaps a gallery view of your NFTs or something like that.
Okay. This was asked by several people. on the last AMA that you guys had, not the one on Reddit, but the one prior to that. I guess it was on YouTube. Mitch was very excited. He says about an upcoming partnership or announcement in 2 to 4 weeks. So it's been more than 4 weeks now. Was Katy Perry that announcement? Or is there something else in the works?
There's several things in the works. There's always timelines outside of our control. So as Mitch said in the Reddit AMA, you probably shouldn't have gotten so keen on it when there's, you can't fully predict when these are going to be. But yeah, there's more that he was referring to. Best in these cases to not get into timelines and just get out with it, because we're always trying to strike a balance of sharing as much as we can to be transparent, but at the same time, if it doesn't work out like was expected at that time, it gets confusing for users and it's a bad experience. So best for us to just say, yes, there are other things that are in the works, including that he was referring to, but it's we'll just leave it at that.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. And there was a concern about the TDrop diluting the price of Theta. And I just said, I don't think that's possible, because it's like all these ERC20 tokens being created on Ethereum didn't dilute the price of Ethereum. It made the price of Ethereum more valuable. So do you see a dilution in the future price of Theta?
I don't see why that would be, since TDrop doesn't overlap with either of the existing tokens. It serves a different function. And it's there's value in the ThedaDrop platform that's being created that is connected to this TDrop token. So yeah, I see. I've seen some people say that from a high level perspective, but I don't really see what the mechanism would be for that to happen. So no, I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't have any fear either. But I want to hear what you thought about it too, because sometimes I can be a little bit biased and say, yeah, it's no problem. Yeah, it's going to be better. But it's good to get another perspective and hear from you guys about. But it just just like what I said earlier, all the ERC20 tokens built on Ethereum only increase the price of Ethereum. Now it's $2,700 or whatever it is. But and do you think there's going to be a lot of TNT20 tokens that's going to be created from the Theta blockchain, similar to the ERC20s?
I think there will be, if there's enough good applications being built on Theta to justify them. There can be a lot of TNT20 tokens built, but that's kind of meaningless unless they're attached to something that's useful. So yeah, as we're making more hackathons, encouraging more community development, and doing what we can to pull more projects onto Theta blockchain, that I would. If that happens, that will almost certainly lead to more TNT20 tokens being built. That would be exciting to me. It's not exciting to me if people just launching tokens for no reason. That really has no effect. I'm sure there's tens of thousands of meaningless ERC20 tokens out there that do nothing, and that's not useful to anyone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. So, golly, I'm just going through. I don't know how you can do this. Somebody asked, is there possible to put a 2FA on the Theta wallet, on the mobile wallet? I don't.
Yeah, there's not in the way that Theta wallet is currently built.
Right.
This is a question that comes up a lot, and the reason is because I think a lot of people just think of their crypto wallet on their phone and don't realize there's several different types. One is a custodial wallet. And one is the other type is non-custodial.
Right.
A custodial wallet is basically hosted in the same way that you have a wallet on Binance or Coinbase or something. You can't just go in and access that. What you really have, because you don't have the private key, what you really have to do is ask them permission. And that's what 2FA is basically a stronger form of that, so that the Binance is really sure it's you before they allow you access to that. Theta wallet's non-custodial. It's like having the private key written on something in your desk. We can't, there's no 2FA to be added because you're never asking Theta Labs permission to access your wallet. We have no way of stopping you from accessing your wallet because you have the private key. In fact, we have no idea if you even have a wallet. Unless there's tokens there you've already moved on chain, we have no way of even knowing if a given address has been taken by a user effectively.
Yeah. Okay.
So Yeah, unfortunately, there's no way to have 2FA because your permission to access that wallet doesn't come from us to begin with. There's nothing to check the 2FA against.
Yeah. So 2FA is for when you give up your private keys, that's when a 2FA comes into effect. So right, yeah. So I think that, I mean, to me, it's a good thing that there's no 2FA, because if you have 2FA, like you said, then you're getting permission from Binance or some other exchange or whatever to pull your own money out of there, which I'd never like to do that. I like to have control. So yeah. So I'm glad that for you to say that as well. So man, we've hit a lot of questions. We're not quite an hour, but is there any, Wes, is there any like some kind of gem that you could share that maybe you haven't shared yet with anybody about Theta and what's going on?
Shoot, I don't know if there's anything on the spot I can think of, and maybe best I don't, because then I won't think about what's really should be said publicly so far yet. Yeah, nothing offhand. Next time we talk, I'll think of it beforehand so I can make sure I have something to share that is okay to share already, but maybe something new for your users to look.
Okay, maybe I should have warmed you up on that question before we hopped on the call. And by the way, and I do things in reverse a lot of times. So when we talked last time, you were in California and you had the guitars behind you. I guess you were at your home, and now you've moved to Amsterdam. What happened with that?
Yeah, that's right. So I moved here in March for family reasons. We'd been considering opening a Theta office in Europe for a while, but didn't have any concrete plans to.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife was interviewing for a job at Microsoft in San Francisco, where we lived. At the last second, they made an offer to her, but contingent on moving to Amsterdam.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about it and thought this could actually work out if we could make this beneficial for Theta as well. And turned out the timing was good, that we took advantage of that opportunity and also used it. So now Theta has a presence out here. So whether it's some startups working out here like Ultra in Paris or Party in Spain, or I'm excited for the crypto conferences to get up off the ground once we finally have COVID in the rearview mirror. It's a whole region that we really haven't spent much time in and haven't spent enough time building out relationships here. So I'm excited to lead that going forward.
Okay. So you're the lead, you're the project lead out there.
Yes.
Great. Okay. I'm glad you said Ultra, because that was another question that people, I know you guys have a partnership with Ultra. Can you reveal any information about Ultra?
Yeah, probably nothing that's non-public, because I just know what I think is already public. But they're deep in work in their beta of the Ultra app that has Theta embedded in it. Mm-hmm. They're still working through getting to a full launch, so I think that's taken a bit longer than expected, as first-time app releases usually do. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we're definitely excited for when they get that off the ground to a full public release, since Theta streaming will be embedded throughout. Okay.
And just another random question popped in my head. I don't know if you're familiar with Veracity. VRA is the ticker. It's proof of view.
I'm not. Okay. I know of them and followed them a bit back in the day. Yeah. Okay,
I just remember seeing some other questions throughout other forums, and people were worried that they competed with Theta, and I was like, no, it doesn't compete at all. So I guess by your tone and your body language, there's no integration with Veracity with Theta TV at this point.
No, there's not. There's a lot of other competing projects that we keep tabs on to an extent, but it's not really our main focus. Right, okay. We're just a little too busy to do it. I know someone said the other day they were shocked that I wasn't very familiar with Alluvio. And I said the other day, to the extent they thought it was some type of bluff of some kind, that I was throwing people off the scent. But there's dozens of projects, and for example, this Alluvio that's thrown up just publicly a month ago. We don't sit there and watch the sides to see who else is working on things as our primary thing. We're focused on building what works for potential partners, customers, and so on. We of course keep an eye on the market, but we're not sitting here thinking about primarily how do we stay ahead of this. We're trying to move our technology forward, not worried all day about what the competition's doing.
Okay. This leads me to another question about competition. Who was your nearest competitor?
Yeah, I think it depends on what sort of piece of all the Theta ecosystem you're looking at.
Yeah.
There's since it's expanded now into a lot of different parts of entertainment, you could say in some cases it's an Akamai on the CDN side, or AWS if they have virtual compute services versus the edge network doing it. With TDrop, it's on the NFT marketplaces. So there's probably not a simple answer to it, but I think the different pieces of the ecosystem are competing with different others. And that's
well, like for the core product though, the core Theta product is live streaming. Is there any any project that's kind of close to what you guys are doing for like decentralized streaming and content delivery?
Not that I'm really aware of.
Okay.
In the blockchain space, there's been some others that have sort of gone along those lines, but have also, always been a little bit adjacent to it. For example, like a live peer has never really focused on the bandwidth and relaying portion of the video stack. It's always been hyper focused on encoding.
Okay.
So
totally different then.
Yeah, the edge nodes do encoding work for platforms as well, but it just hasn't been the primary focus of it. So I think it goes back to, again, there's overlapping competition between, but I don't know if there's any that I'd say fits exactly the bill for what Theta is doing.
Okay. All right, cool. All right. That'll make a lot of people happy because people were worried about live peer. And that was the one. I'm glad you said it first. They were worried about live peer being a close competitor. I was like, no, I don't think they are, because you guys have a very broad ecosystem and you're doing a lot of things. So no, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, that's it, man. We're about an hour into this, and I want to keep it under an hour. So we'll go ahead and end this call now. And Wes, I appreciate this call. I appreciate you taking the time to do this. And if and when Theta goes to 70, you expect another call from me to hop on one of these videos. Fair enough.
Always good to catch up with you, Dave.
All right, man. Take care, Wes. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Thanks.